There we go. 9 medium stands, 1 light, 20 general aviation, and $6 million in the bank. You've got to be happy with that. Okay, and welcome back to another tutorial for Airport CEO. In this session, what we're going to cover is general aviation and runway management. First of all, just like to thank all the feedback I've been getting in the previous 3 Let's Plays and tutorials. It's been very good, and also the suggestions that I've been getting in regards to what you would like to see me make. So probably the most common feedback we got was general aviation and runway management, food and stores management, and then flight planning, and they will come a little bit later, but for today we're just going to do runway management and general aviation. Okay, to start off with runway management and general aviation, I would suggest to actually press the tab button and actually go to procurement to start the preparation, because it takes a little bit long and we want to do this concurrently. So unlock your aviation fuel Avgas 100 LL fuel service, and that takes about 5 hours. So as we're concurrently building, then we can actually set up these features. An important thing to note is your general aviation is completely separated from your terminal. So if you want to make a little bit of income outside of your main terminal and your main commercial business, you can set up your general aviation a little bit separately. So if you haven't got the currency to start off with, what you can actually do is you can use the same runway, and by clicking on the runway you can see that it accepts both general aviation and commercial flights. And once you get a little bit more income and you've got more aircraft coming in, you can easily turn off the general aviation, start another runway, and just have that as a separate runway. But for now we're going to use the same runway. Okay, so let's start doing some building. What I would like to do is start building in this area here, and this is where I'm going to have my general aviation. So we're just going to run up a little bit of service road. To here. And then the service road to here. Leaving a little bit of room, because that's where we're actually going to put the aviation fuel, and another little hangar to service the general aviation. So now let's build, and the general aviation uses a small stand, so we can actually build that, and just to save the money we're actually going to just use the grass, and that's fine. So just turn those around, and we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and I think that's more than enough. I have sort of built, and you would have seen in my earlier introduction, that I actually had 20 stands, but I've actually realized that it is not, I've never filled up those 20 aircraft. Now we're going to build a little taxi foundation, and with the taxi foundation I'm just going to have this on grass coming into, oh, actually we'll have it on the asphalt, so it's all matching. So remember, hover over, hit the asphalt, down, next thing we want to do, now that we've set it up, we want to place in our taxi nodes. And we want to move our taxi nodes down to the small stand. So just connect those. Whilst we're on the taxi nodes, we want to do a little bit of the runway management, which people have been requesting a lot. So I'm just going to zoom in, and just prior to it, with a bit of space, I'm actually going to right click on the taxi node. This will bring up another drop box which is saying have a holding point. So I'm going to click it once, and you'll see that the holding point is actually the right direction. in the event it's actually facing the wrong way, you can actually click it twice and it will turn it around. Now I don't want it this way because the planes are going to come this way, and you want it so it's actually facing the way the aircraft are coming. So that is the correct direction. So what that will do is it means that the small general aviation flight, because I've now got planes coming in for both directions, when the runway is busy or there is an inbound flight, the aircraft will wait at the holding point until the runway is clear. Okay, so these are two important things. It actually holds the aircraft when the runway is clear, then it will allow them to come off. Now what we also need to do is, as we can see here, is when the aircraft land, they're actually going to be going the long way around. So we don't want that, so we're actually now going to continue the runway to allow them to come off. So I'm actually just going to go from here because it's going to be easier to line up. Like so. And like so. And then we're going to make sure that taxiway node goes all the way around. There we go, and just having another one at this end. So moving in, right click, holding point. And this is actually a perfect example because I've done this without collecting asphalt. It's automatically defaulted to grass. So you don't need, so it's actually a very good example for the tutorial. You do not need to delete what you have on grass. You can simply go to infrastructure, taxiway foundation, go to asphalt and build over the top of your current area. Okay, once it's built, then you can, so scrolling in, so in this case here, this taxiway sign or this holding point is the wrong way, so I'm just going to click it twice and that will actually turn it around. So now what we've got is we've got the runway. The runway is set to both general aviation and commercial. We've now got a separate taxiway foundation, and we've got the taxiway nodes with a holding node there. So now all we need to do is to wait for the stands to be built and wait for the aviation fuel service to be built. I'll be back in 2 hours and 37 minutes. Okay, and welcome back. So it's been 2 hours and 37 minutes. We'll open up the contract, scroll down to the bottom, and you can see we have now unlocked the Aviation Gas 100LL. So what we want to do now is concurrently build the facilities to now service that. So we've created a little bit of a road here, and that's going to come through with our structures. We're going to create a fuel depot, but in this case now we're going to go over and click the 100 LL avgas. So we're going to build a fuel depot, and just having a little bit of room so that we find. So there's the fuel depot. Then we want to have a fuel tank. Now you can have you can have a number of fuel tanks. You can have one there, and you can actually put the fuel tanks around if you need to expand. But in this case, we're just going to have one fuel tank, and we're just going to click it right next to the basic fuel depot. The next thing we're going to do is now have a vehicle depot. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space just in case I want some more fuel tanks, and I'm just going to put the vehicle depot there. Now we've already signed a contract for fuel, so aviation fuel, avgas, and the Jet A1 will be delivered. So as soon as this is actually finished, you'll actually see a tanker come in and that will actually fill it out. But what we do need to purchase is we need to actually purchase another fuel tank for avgas. We do not have to purchase more baggage carts because the general aviation at this stage doesn't require baggage carts. So just press tab. Right at the top, you've now got your fuel truck avgas. Let's just order one of these. Okay, so it's still building. I'm going to come back in probably a couple of hours and we will finish off opening up the general aviation. Okay, welcome back. So the taxi has been completed. Obviously the fuel has been completed, and as you can see, the fuel trucks have automatically turned up now and are actually refueling the medium tanks plus the attached tank. So I did not have to click on any extra buttons. As soon as it was finished, it automatically came. And there's the aviation gas tanker, and it's made its way in as well now that the vehicle depot is now completed. So there's just a couple of more steps that we need to do to get the general aviation up and running, and then the general aviation will run automatically. So the first thing is we need to turn on and open the stand. So we will click general aviation, open the stand. Move to the next one, general aviation, open the stand. General aviation, open the stand. So that's the first part. You'll see now at the top you've got an open a GA panel, so you can click that, but it says there's no general aviation flights at this moment. And what it will be doing is that is a manual setup that every time it turns green you need to go there and you need to click it. So what we want to do is we want to automate that. So press the tab, so it says green now, and you can accept this flight. And this will allow a small general aviation flight to come in. So that's a perfect example. But we don't want to be spending the game looking to see if this actually flashes up, so we want to automate it. So here comes the general aviation flight now, because we forced it in there. So what we would like to do is we'll press tab, and there's two things we need to do. So we go to the operations part, and then we'll actually go to the overview. The first thing we're going to do is in the top right hand corner there's a button here that says always accept GA, general aviation. So we want to tick that, and what that will do is you now see that there's a tick here. It will now automatically accept any general aviation to come and arrive and park. The next thing we want to do is we want to turn on the avgas 100LL. So by turning that, it means that the aircraft will automatically be refueled. And that's it for general aviation. So whilst we're letting that go in the background, the next couple of things I just wanted to quickly talk about was runway management. So we've already talked about the holding points, so make sure that you have a couple of holding points on either side. The next thing you have is upgrades, and when you upgrade you can actually build your PAPI lights. With your PAPI lights, simply by having one PAPI light to obviously assist it for nighttime landings or poor light landings, you can come in, turn it around, usually lining up with the numbers on one side will be fine, and you can drop the lights in there. So there you go. The other bit that you have is your extension. You can extend to the west or you can extend to the east. Now generally where the build and we're on version 2.1.9, I haven't seen the necessity yet to actually extend. I assume as more versions come out you're going to have larger aircraft and you'll need to extend your runway. Here comes another general aviation flight. The next thing we want to do is talk about maintenance. So simply by clicking on the runway you can do your repairs. So you have to have a look and you can actually see the repairs, and you can actually push back and you can actually repair your stands and your runway. the great thing is in the 21.9 release, that has now become automated. So having a COO, the repairs will automatically be completed as part of the new update. So where you may have been generally going around and updating in the middle of the night, you don't have to do that now. The repairs will be taken out and it will come out of your budget. So as you can see, the general aviation is a good little money spinner. So while you're waiting for new aircraft to come in, you've got a number of little aircraft. So as your money comes up, feel free to buy any more. So that's it for this tutorial. It was a very short one on general aviation and runway management. So I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you have any questions or you'd like me to do any other videos or focus on any certain points, please don't hesitate to leave comments below. I do check them. Okay, thank you very much and have a good day. Bye.